Welcome back to another show, ladies and gentlemen. This is a special one. I have the one and only Agent Whitaker with me. How are you today, Agent Whitaker?
I'm fine. I'm fine. I'm working my ass off, watching the world collapse like I usually do, and yeah, no. Other than that, I'm mildly depressed, reading some books from the children's library about gay pornography, and waiting
It's
for the Pope to
disgusting,
die.
eh?
Don't
I
even
don't.
get me started on the stuff that I'm seeing now. Right, like the fact that it's not making mainstream media is freaking me out, but it is what it is, man.
In
I'm
the
at
in
the
the
point.
sorry, go ahead.
What's that?
I just said in the news today, China's actually encircling Japan with warships. They were sending numerous warships all through their canals there. Pretty crazy. So,
Well, I just heard Maloney in Italy is going to pull out of the Belt and Road, which isn't going to be very good for China either.
it's a very interesting time. I don't know if you've been following the latest articles that have been coming out in the news about Hunter Biden, all about Joe Biden's corruption, getting paid by Chinese foreign nationals, which we've been talking about this podcast for like 4 years. 4 years,
Yes.
well ahead of the time. It's amazing that we don't have 1 million followers by now. I don't understand. We've put so many pieces of the puzzle together. I've been telling people what's coming, why things are coming, why things are happening the way they're happening. And it's, we still have a media source that is not interested in telling people the truth, no matter the cause or cost. It's becoming, Tucker Carlson has to break free, do his own thing. Everyone's asking questions. Nobody's getting any answers. And, yet here we are.
Well, here's my take on it. The media are like addicts and alcoholics, right? They don't really know what they are, and they refuse to admit that they have a problem. So they continue to live their lie. And anyone that's been through any kind of 12-step program will tell you this, until everybody turns their back on you, you're not going to straighten out. So here's the way I look at it. Hey, media, you're government funded, all of you, right? You are trying to ruin the world and poison people's minds. And we've all caught on to it. And your con game is just about over. You can see it in the ratings. So the more that we all turn our backs to this shit and walk away and say, no, I don't deal with media holism or whatever you want to call it, until they have their come to Jesus moment, it's not going to change. So everybody just keep turning their back, walk away, and ignore it, because it's all horse shit. You can go find it all yourself. You know what the government's doing. Stop watching the news and go out and deal with the government. I've said this a million times, and just let me go on just a little bit more here, right? I've said it a million times. They operate out of activism now. They don't operate out of what's good for all of us, right? So they screw small businesses like mine and like yours, and payroll taxes go up, and I'm trying to provide benefits and so much, like paying people as much as I can, $30, $40 an hour, right? Giving them really good paying jobs, and nobody wants to get involved. Nobody wants to go down and say, hey, my boss works really freaking hard and he's not cutting a lot of profit. Mr. MP, what are you going to do to put more money in all of our pockets? Because here's the thing. As a business owner, I can put a lot more money in my employees' pockets if the government gets the F off my back, right? And they got their thumb on us constantly. Interest rates go up. This happens. It's not our fault. It's their fault. It's not our fault. It's your fault. You're a Canadian. You have to help. You're an American. You have to lean in, right? You're in England. You have to lean in. I'm done leaning in. Stop leaning in. Stop watching the media. Go down, talk to your MP, right? Put some money in, run for office, and do your shit. Everybody do something. At least I'm on a podcast tonight. I've been exhausted working my ass off. That's why I haven't been able to do this regularly. So how about everybody figure out how to work on a effing election? That's all I want. Go win. Take this crap away from them. They're activists. Fine. Be an activist, right? Be as scummy as they want to be, but do it for all the right reasons, right? Not because you want to change the world, but because you want to make the country a better place. That's the problem. Everybody wants to change the effing world. All I want is a better place. That's it. I don't need anything else. You don't need to tell me how to live my life. You don't need to tell me we're going to chop off my kids. You don't got to tell me how to talk to people. You don't got to tell me how to get my shit together. I got my shit together, right? Everybody has to do their fucking effing part. So I'm sorry I'm swearing. I'm sorry I'm going on a rant. I'm tired. It's been a long day. I've been covered in freaking black flies in the middle of the bush. So that's my life. And that's what I have to say. I'm sorry, Awakener. I took up like 5 minutes of yelling.
Oh, our MPs and politicians are not interested whatsoever in telling anybody the truth about what's going on. The MPs are only interested in getting elected, as you know. The MPs are controlled by Mr. Justin Trudeau or whoever is in power, and he's able to keep power because the media complex is telling the same lie over and over and over and over and over again. Well, like, why do we have an interest rate rise? Why are people and businesses struggling right now? Why are people broke? It's, well, like, you kind of shut the whole world down for 3 years over the flu. And maybe if there was a different approach to everything, maybe we wouldn't be where we are. Do you know what I mean? And the paranoia and the fear and everything they sold everybody was just, over the top, and now people are paying the consequences for it, which is people don't have any free spending money, and it's getting more and more difficult to get by. And this is the self-fulfilling prophecy. And until really people wake up and start questioning their government and start voting for different people, whether you like them or not, it's nothing is going to change. So
no, you're right.
I don't know how people don't understand it. Our government does not work for us. They work for an agenda. That agenda is to control us. Our agenda is for our enemies. The enemies of the West, the enemies for freedom. This is who our government works for. And it's very obvious by now. Why can't people see it?
Well, here's why. Because the government has convinced everybody that you have to be a loser to work in government. Only morons work in government. Only the unhirable, only the worst of the worst work in government, right? Because they can't do anything else. Government job. They don't work for the country. They barely work for themselves. They work for that goddamn pension. That's it. After 6 years, they go, you know what? I'm just going to stick this out. I'm going to ride it out and do the bare minimum, right? Happens to the politicians all the time. They just ride it out, get their pensions. They're on their way. Here's my beef, right? We all want to take these guys down. They have an agenda. So let's get our own agenda. Here's my agenda. Here's my proposal to everybody listening. Canadian, American, I don't give a shit where you're from. This is what you do. You go out, you figure out how to run, you win, and then you go into Parliament or Congress or the Senate or wherever the hell you got to go, and you say, you know what? We need equity and inclusion. Here's my idea of that. All of you politicians, you guys no longer have immunity for shit. You get to be charged for corruption just like anybody else gets charged for corruption. You get to be charged. There is no committee. There is no oversight. It is the law. So go in, run for office, right? Make an ass out of yourself because that's what you got to do because that's what they do. Remember that. Politicians make asses out of themselves. So go out, make an ass out of yourself. Tell people what you're going to do. You're going to make politicians accountable and then go actually effing do it. Their agenda does not trump the law. So why don't you guys get off your asses and go do it? I ran in 2 federal elections, right? So I know what it's like. It's a pain in the ass, costs a bit of money. You're not going to have anything for signs. There's a budget. They do everything to freeze you out. Do it once, do it twice. By the 3rd time, you got a bit of money and you got a bit of a grassroots behind you. But do something. That's all I want. I want somebody to run and hold these guys to account. Bring in legislation that makes all of those politicians accountable to all of us all the time.
Well, with Hunter Biden and Joe Biden and crew, this red pill that everyone has kind of been waiting for to wake most of the population in the Western world up, I believe is coming very shortly. That is a great embedded population in our our wings here, our political wings, is actually are traitors working for the enemy. This is what we speculate on the Awakener podcast for years. And Hunter Biden and Joe Biden and whoever it leads to, which is going to lead to a ton of people, is going to be the giant red pill that our government, people who run our government, actually work for our enemies. This is going to be something that is going to be catastrophic to the political system around the Western world. how people react to it, it's going to be amazing to see, because there are a great multitude of people that will deny the truth in front of them. Even if a fish jumped out of the water and smacked him right in the face, they'll deny it was a fish. They'll deny that anything happened. They will think everything is normal. But the great multitude, I believe, of people now with so much belief in conspiracy and belief in everything that something is wrong, are ready to absorb the truth finally. And this is why the stakes are so high now, is because it all starts with Hunter Biden. And this has been talked about for so long on this podcast, and this day is coming. And it could be tomorrow for all I know. The media is talking about how it could have been Wednesday. We are Wednesday right now, and on Thursday right now, nothing has happened. So it's, this is going to be something that is going to change the world forever. The reason why we speculate on this podcast, the reason why our government does the things they do, is because they're interested in collapsing and destroying the way of life of the West. The West has been powerful because of this way of life. And these politicians are interested in slowly changing that to lead to our demise at the benefit of our enemy. Think about everything they do. Climate change. Climate change only benefits Russia and China. Russia and China do not care about climate change whatsoever. They want all the oil now. And look at other stuff they talk about. We talk about drag queens teaching kids, grooming kids. This just leads to a group, our society going down the hill. From a very, very early age, where people are not raised with morals. They're not able to hold jobs, do basic tasks. Collapse for society. The way they tax everybody, collapse for society. The way they spend their money, waste it all, collapse for society. Everything is done under the guise of good, but it's for a purpose to destroy us. And once people absorb this, it's lights out for the political establishment. That's my rant. I counter your rant with another rant.
That was the most mild-mannered rant I've ever heard. So I don't know what pill you took before the show, but I would be screaming more.
I always laugh because we did a poll on Twitter before Twitter blew up and they canceled us. I actually asked a question about who was crazier between you and me. And actually it was pretty much even. I was very surprised at that.
I don't buy that.
I thought you would be the crazy one. You know what I mean? But no, apparently I'm crazy too. So,
no, I think that what happens is it's okay to sound crazy because everybody's talking like that in their head. They talk like me in their head, right? They want to yell at the world. Old man shouts at cloud. That's exactly that's what it sounds like, right? But the truth is, I know what's going on, just like you do. And it's funny because even my wife, who was going, you and your conspiracy theories and all this kind of stuff. By the way, I got married, if none of you know. Anyhow, she said to me the other day, she's like, yeah, this is really weird now. This seems weird to me now. Now I see what you're saying about this. Now I understand that. Or she's talking to her friends at school, and they're like, yeah, you know what? This, that, and the other thing. She's like, yep, he told me. Yeah. Oh, yeah, no, I knew about that like 8 months ago. Oh, no, he mentioned that 2 years ago. So she had admitted it to me. She hates having to look at people and tell them that I was talking about this with you years ago. And that's really, it's promising, in my opinion. So, sorry, my phone's ringing.
That's okay. Things have changed. When we used to have conversations with people thought we were absolutely bonkers. And I have a conversation with people now, and people are like, oh, that actually makes a lot of sense to me. And people are like almost ready to have the verification given to them, which means, oh, you are right. After all, you're not so crazy. Does that make sense?
Yes, it does. Because I've also taken something away from everyone also. Every time I hear the word conspiracy, oh, you're a conspiracy theorist. Well, congratulations on everybody for, being able to pronounce a monosyllabic group of words. Fantastic. Or a multisyllabic group of words. Good for you all. That's great. Conspiracy theorist. Sounds great. Sounds dark. Sounds like somebody's fucking crazy. No. I am a conspiracy analyst. That's what we all are. So take the theorist part out of it. There are no theories anymore. There's only analysis because everything is a bloody conspiracy. I don't care what it is. I don't care if it's healthcare. It's conspiracy. Auto insurance. That's a conspiracy. Banking. Conspiracy. Crypto. Conspiracy. Everything is a conspiracy. And they're
And how does
nailing
that
us to the cross.
I know, and how does that affect your life? I want to give you a story. It's like I went out on a date a long time ago with this lady, nice lady, and she added me to Instagram. We started talking, and then she's like, "Oh, like your views of the world are, they don't align with mine." And I said, "Yeah, you're right." I said, "You're asleep, and I'm awake." But I said, "Don't worry, in time you're going to be awake too."
Oh my God.
Oh shoot! I just like it's the best comeback. What do you say? Like, they all say it to be like, oh, like they put you in a box, and I'm like, well, just you wait. Like years ago, I went out with this one lady, and we were talking over dinner. I was explaining to them like, well, like Hunter Biden, the reason everything is happening, and with Hunter Biden, you're going to see him get arrested and charged. It's going to lead to the Chinese paying a ton of. What do you think the Chinese are paying Joe Biden for? I'll give you exactly what they were paying him for. Barack Obama was literally procuring all the U.S. secrets so he could see them on his desk. Okay? Because only the U.S. president is allowed to see all the U.S. secrets. Not even the vice president is allowed to see it. Okay? And he proceeds to give it to Joe Biden, who photocopies it and gives it to Hunter Biden, goes down to his residence, and the Chinese meet him, and they take all the documents. Why do you think the J-10 fighter, J-20, all these things, they look like the F-35? Why does Iran's new stealth fighter, the nose, why does it look like the F-35? You want to know why? Because they stole it. That's why. So what is happening is people have to be warmed up to absorb this. They have to be warmed up for the magnitude. This is why when things don't make sense, people start asking questions. It's normal. It's a normal reaction for you as a self-defense mechanism. Like when you're dating somebody and they give you a story and then it doesn't make sense. It's a self-defense mechanism to question them, to question your friends who are telling you something where you're like, this doesn't make sense to me. Or you operate a business and some employee says, oh, I was there at the job site. They weren't. It's a self-defense mechanism to question when something does not make sense.
Yep.
And when enough people are self-questioning, then the red pill is ready to be delivered.
Yes.
Which is Barack Obama was a traitor. He called himself a renegade. He was setting up all this war that was going to be pinned on Hillary. And they gave the Russians, the Iranians, the North Koreans, the Chinese, virtually everything from the US. They gutted us completely before this war was going to be set up in front of us. So we were going to be ushered in to Zelensky's defense, who's clearly acting with Putin. And we would have started winning this war, and then they would have fucked us.
Yes.
And that's exactly... They're still going to try because they're greedy assholes, and communists are greedy assholes. But there's a plan, and people are going to be delivered the truth. Let's head to the Patreon right now.